Alrighty. Alrighty, welcome everybody. We're going to just wait a couple seconds here while we let other individuals join us in our meeting. So we'll just go ahead and wait a couple seconds. Looks like our number is increasing. Looks like we have over 100 participants in this webinar. Alrighty, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody. My name is Dana Young, and I'm the Preschool Promise Program Manager here for the Early Learning Division. And I want to do a warm welcome to our very first bilingual State Preschool Promise meeting. Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es Dana Young y soy la administradora del programa de promesa preescolar para la División de Aprendizaje a Temprana Edad. Les queremos dar la bienvenida a nuestra primera junta bilingüe aquí para el estado de Oregon. Already, and it looks like we're still having more people coming in. So I do want to maybe just wait a couple seconds here for everybody to welcome. Just a moment. Y tenemos mucha gente que nos está acompañando el día de hoy. So vamos a esperar unos segunditos para que todos nos puedan acompañar. Ready? Okay, well, looks like we have over 140 people joining us in this very first bilingual Preschool Promise meeting. So thank you all for your patience as we get everything up and running. We're going to go over some of our norms for this meeting. As I mentioned, this is our very first bilingual state meeting here that we're hosting, and we're very thankful that you can join us. So we're going to go ahead and just touch base on some of the norms that you're going to be inspecting on this meeting. Una cosa que es como es nuestra primera junta así bilingüe, va a ser un poquito diferente de lo que a lo mejor ustedes están siendo acostumbrados. So tenemos algunas normas que vamos a hablar para lo que puedan ustedes esperar durante esta junta. Okay, Angela, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you to talk about the norms.
Sure. So the first meeting norm is that this meeting will be bilingual, as Dana mentioned. And we want to make sure that everybody keeps their microphone muted and uses the chat feature, and you can use English or Spanish for any questions you might have.
Okay, como les habíamos comentado, esta junta es bilingüe. Durante esta junta vamos a tener el micrófono en silencio. Si tiene algunas preguntas, por favor, pónganlas en el chat.
And it's important for us to note also that questions are not going to be answered in this meeting, but they will be collected and we will answer them as soon as possible.
Es súper importante también saber que no vamos a contestar preguntas durante esta sección, pero vamos a recopilar todas las preguntas y luego poder mandar respuestas.
And we just want to remind you that our goal with this meeting, it really is a kickoff. Our goal is to introduce you to the resources that are available to you already and to kind of give you a preview of those that are coming.
No, una de nuestras metas en esta junta es de como un comienzo a nuestro programa de promesa preescolar y también hablar sobre los recursos que hemos desarrollado y recursos que van a ayudarlos en la implementación de promesa preescolar. Okay, alrighty. Now we have, here at the Early Learning Division, we have a big team, and there's many different parts of our Preschool Promise implementation. We are going to go ahead and do ELD. We have a lot of ELD staff also joining us during this meeting. We're going to go ahead and have those who are going to be participating during this webinar introduce themselves. So let me do Spanish. So muchas gracias. Como pueden saber, tenemos mucha gente que son parte de la implementación de promesa preescolar aquí en la división. Ahorita nomás vamos a presentar a empleados que ustedes van a escuchar durante esta presentación. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And Gwen, take it away.
Thank you, and welcome, and good afternoon. It is just wonderful that I see all the names showing up and putting some faces to the names of grantees and applications that I'm very familiar with from reading through. So welcome. I'm Gwen Backel, and my role at the Early Learning Division, I'm the Director of Early Learning Program, and I oversee the program unit for the Early Learning Division, and the program unit houses a few different publicly funded programs: Preschool Promise, Oregon Pre-Kindergarten, Baby Promise, and also Resafe Nurseries. Thank you for being here today.
There we go, Catherine.
En español, Dana.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that. Gwen es nuestra directora de programas de aprendizaje a temprana edad aquí para la división. So, ella es la que administra los programas como Baby Promise, Relief Nurseries, OPK, Promesa Preescolar. Gracias. Yep.
My name is Catherine Jones, and I am the new director of the Grants and Operations Group. And so welcome, everybody.
Okay. Y tenemos a la directora de operaciones y subvenciones que se llama Catherine Jones, y ella es la directora de todo lo que es operaciones aquí para la división. Angela?
Hi, everybody. My name is Angela Stinson, and I'm the Communication Coordinator for Preschool Promise.
También tenemos a Angela Stinson, y ella es la coordinadora de comunicaciones para la división. Andy?
Hi, everybody. I'm Andy Bales-Molnar. I'm the director of the Head Start Collaboration Office, and I support Preschool Promise for technical assistance through the R&R.
Y tenemos a Andy Molnar, y ella es la directora de la oficina de Head Start, y también apoya a Promesa Preescolar, lo que es en asistencia técnica para los requerimientos de Promesa Preescolar. Okay. Anne?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Morrison. I'm the Coordinated Enrollment Manager, and I work with the Early Learning Hubs to support them in Preschool Promise enrollment.
Okay. Y Anne es nuestra administradora de lo que es la inscripción para los niños aquí de Promesa Preescolar, y ella trabaja con los centros de aprendizaje a temprana edad en lo que es la inscripción para los niños. Okay. Anthony?
Hi, good afternoon. Anthony Martirano. My primary role is the Grants Manager with the Preschool Promise program. I'd like to echo Gwen's sentiment in welcoming everyone, and it's super exciting to see everyone participating with us tonight. So again, welcome.
Y tenemos a Anthony Martirano, y él es un administrador de subvenciones para Promesa Preescolar, y les da la bienvenida de poder unirse a esta junta. Okay, Miriam? We can hear you, Miriam.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Amador, and I work for Preschool Promise as a support program. Can you hear me? No?
Yep, we can hear you. Y Miriam Amador, ella nos apoya aquí en nuestra unidad de programas con Promesa Preescolar. Okay, Michael?
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Connor. I work supporting Preschool Promise, mostly with training and technical assistance. Happy to be here.
Okay. Y Michael nos acompaña como especialista de asistencia técnica para Promesa Preescolar. And Ronia? Okay. And it looks like Ronia is not able to go ahead and join us today. I know she's been working really hard in our grants and ops team, but she is also a grant manager for Preschool Promise. Ronia no nos pudo acompañar. Yo sé que ella ha estado trabajando muy duro en lo que es las registraciones del IGAMS y todo eso, pero ella también es una administradora de subvenciones para Promesa Preescolar. So, thank you to all of our ELD staff for joining us. As I mentioned, there's a lot of people here at the ELD being part of our Preschool Promise implementation. These are just a few of the ELD staff who you're going to be joining, who are joining us today and also talking to you too. Como les había mencionado, hay muchos representantes aquí en la división que trabajan en promesa preescolar, pero estas son unas personas de las cuales van a escuchar el día de hoy. Okay, and can we go to the agenda real quick? Alrighty, so really quick agenda. What we're going to be discussing, we already did some introductions. We're going to talk about implementation supports. As you guys all know, this is a pretty big Preschool Promise implementation. So we're going to be discussing the different supports that are available to you. We're going to be discussing a little bit more in depth that grant manual and what you can find on the grant manual and that tool. We also have some recent announcements. There's been some topics that we want to be able to talk to you about. And then we're also going to be discussing our bilingual YouTube channel as well that we've developed here to go ahead and support us with this implementation of Preschool Promise. And then we'll go ahead and end our hour by talking about what should you as a grantee expect next. Como les había dicho, vamos a dar la bienvenida de Promesa Preescolar. Vamos a hablar de los apoyos que ustedes van a recibir aquí de Promesa Preescolar, al igual que el manual de subvenciones, algunas actualizaciones recientes y también el desarrollo de un canal de YouTube que hemos lanzado para esta implementación. También hablaremos de qué es lo que usted puede esperar después. Alrighty, so we can go. I also, before we move to the next slide, I do want to go ahead and give a warm welcome to our early learning hubs and CCRNRs. I know that they were invited to this meeting. This is a meeting where we're all coming together to go ahead and kick us off. También le quiero dar la bienvenida a nuestros centros de aprendizaje a temprana edad y también a nuestros CCRNRs que nos están acompañando en esta junta inicial de Promesa Preescolar. Okay. Alrighty, so we're going to go into our implementation supports, but I do want us to take a couple steps back and really just kind of share what you guys are all a part of with Preschool Promise and what, kind of looking ahead into our Preschool Promise program year. So Michael, next slide. Okay, thank you. So for this Preschool Promise program year, we are now a statewide program, and I want to thank you all for your patience. I know that things, we've had some delays. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're also, we also have fires also going on across the state, and then many other adversities that everybody's facing, whether it's like racial injustice or something else. So I really do want to thank you for all your patience. We were very lucky to be able to go ahead and get the expansion that we had with Preschool Promise by being able to go ahead and award Tier 1 and Tier 2 grantees across the state. So I think that's something that we can all feel really happy about, that we are now a statewide program. We release grants to go ahead and serve. We are in subcontracts to go ahead and serve 3,908 children statewide at this point. Una cosa que les quiero decir es que tenemos muchísimas gracias por toda su paciencia. Sabemos que muchos fueron impactados ya sea por los incendios, ya sea por la pandemia, o cualquier cosa, alguna adversidad que a lo mejor estén teniendo, pero sí quiero tomar este momento para celebrar que estamos teniendo una expansión y que somos muy afortunados de poder estar al nivel estatal y vamos a poder servir a 3,908 niños. One thing, as we look forward with this implementation, really the core of why we're here and what we it's really for the children and families across the state. And so they're really at the core of our implementation. And then in order for we have supports here at the Early Learning Division. We have our CCRNRs across the state. We have our early learning hubs, and then we have all of you.
Good. I'm so glad.
Looks like we may have some background there.
Look it. You trusted.
Awesome. Alrighty then. So, una cosa es de que con esta implementación de promesa preescolar tenemos a la educación de aprendizaje a temprana edad. Tenemos a nuestros CCRNRs, nuestros centros de aprendizaje a temprana edad y nuestros proveedores que son ustedes. Right now we have 191 grantees across the state. I do want to go ahead and make a little note is that in contract, we have 191 contracts, but we actually have 200 grantees across the state. But we will have entities that are maybe one organization, but they're serving children across the state in many different hub regions. So we have 191 grant contracts out right now. Okay, next slide.
One moment, please.
Thank you. And I do want to go ahead and point out, and thank you for all your patience, for those of you who are working with distance learning, as we had a moment right here with distance learning. So thank you all. And if you have children coming in and say hi during our meeting, by all means, that's totally okay. Y muchas gracias a todos que ustedes están trabajando con sus niños en casa, en la casa para en la escuela. So si hay niños que nos quieren decir hola, está todo bien. So one of you as a grantee, so as I talk about really at the core of everything really are the children and families, but in order for us to go ahead and be successful with this implementation, this is the first time that we are doing direct contract at this magnitude for one of our publicly funded programs. So really one of the core messages here that we want you to walk away with is that we want you to be successful. We want to be able to go ahead and implement supports that can help you into really increasing those child outcomes. So you are also at the center and at the core of our implementation. So we have different implementation supports with Preschool Promise. Otra cosa que queremos que tomen en cuenta es de que como los niños están en el centro de nuestra implementación, ustedes también están en el centro de nuestra implementación y queremos que sean exitosos con esta implementación de promesa preescolar. So I'm going to go ahead and just go over real quick about what are some of the supports that you as a grantee have available. You know, we have the Early Learning Division, and here at our division, we have two teams. One of them is our program unit, and we are responsible for making sure that you have the support and the resources necessary to increase child outcomes. We're also responsible, and all of us are really to ensure that we have equitable practices across the implementation, and then our responsibility is to ensure that we meet the legislative requirements. As I mentioned, we are very fortunate to have received like this implementation and this expansion. So it's super important for us to go ahead and meet those legislative requirements. Nuestra implementación tiene diferentes grupos. Aquí en nuestro grupo de programas, nosotros somos responsables de que ustedes tengan los recursos y apoyo necesario para que sean exitosos con los niños y también que tengamos prácticas que sean buenas para todos los niños y también que podamos cumplir con los requerimientos legislativos de esta expansión. Then we have our grants and ops team, responsible for helping grantees meet the grant requirements. So that includes any budgets, payments, reports, really providing you with the technical assistance on your grant agreement. This is a little bit different than the previous implementation. Now it's like we have a team as specific to really be able to help you be successful with that, with your grant agreement. También tenemos nuestro equipo de operaciones y subvenciones y ellos son los que proveen la asistencia técnica en lo que es el acuerdo de promesa preescolar. ya sea lo que es los pagos, los presupuestos, y necesitamos, nuestra meta es de que sean exitosos con su subvención. Then we have our CCRNRs who, you know, right now they have been doing a lot of work, and we cannot thank them enough for all the work that our CCRNRs are doing across the state. They are going to be helping grantees meet and exceed the Preschool Promise requirements, the Preschool Promise quality requirements, when we talk about like the children in the classroom, assessments, family engagement, some of those pieces. As you all can imagine right now, with the different challenges that our world has right now with the pandemic and the fires and just getting them up and running, you know, they're working to go ahead and get ready. So right now they're getting ready to go ahead and help us. But as it stands right now, any kind of technical assistance, questions about your grant and requirements, those direct them directly here at the ELD while our CCRNRs get up and running. También tenemos a nuestros CCRNRs, y ellos están para que los ayuden con los requerimientos de calidad de promesa preescolar, no con los requerimientos de su subvención. So ellos van a proveer asistencia técnica y ayuda. En estos momentos ellos han estado trabajando mucho con la pandemia y con muchas cosas. So ellos, cualquier pregunta que tengan ahorita, diríjasela a la división de aprendizaje, por favor. And then we have our early learning hubs playing a huge and important role when it comes to really helping enroll children into the program. So they're responsible for coordinating Preschool Promise enrollment, managing wait lists, and selecting children into the program. So they are doing some recruitment. So I know they've been working really hard, you know, once again, working hard to go ahead and get children into the program. So please connect with your local early learning hub when it comes to eligibility, selection, and placement. Son nuestros centros de aprendizaje en temprana edad, una parte muy importante. Y eso es lo que ellos, lo que es el reclutamiento, la inscripción, la elegibilidad para los niños. So por favor, conéctense con ellos. You know, one thing with their hubs, you know, they've been doing a lot of work over the past couple months. They're developing systems, they're getting things up and running. So one of the important things to do is, like, we just ask for patience for our hubs as they work really hard. They're all developing their own processes to get children enrolled. One thing to go ahead and add is, you as a grantee, we want you to be successful. We know that there's a lot of planning. So it's not like, for example, like ERDC, that you have to have a child on seat in order to go ahead and get paid. Like, we know that it's going to go ahead and take you guys a little bit of time to get the children up and going there. So as you can see with our supports for implementation, we have a big group. And I know that at the same time, it may seem a little challenging of who do I call and when do I call. So more clarity on that. I think the biggest thing, that any question related to your grant agreement, really, we have staff here at the ELD. As I mentioned, you know, I'm the Preschool Promise Program Manager, so I work across the different teams within the ELD to go ahead and ensure for a successful implementation. And then you also have two grant managers, Anthony and Rania, who each cover a certain part of the state to be able to go ahead and help you with your grant agreement as well. You will also go ahead and hear a lot from Angela when it comes to like the email communications and the phone calls and the emails. Angela, as our communications coordinator, you'll be hearing from her. Miriam Amador, helping a lot with our translations and bilingual materials and talking to our providers in Spanish. So that is one thing why our implementation, it is different. And unlike any other program, is the fact that we are doing everything bilingual, all of our communication, all of our processes. So that's one thing to go ahead and just kind of just know. When you call the ELD, we have a language line, so we can go ahead and talk to you in many different languages as well. Una cosa que queremos que se lleven de lo que estoy hablando es de que tenemos diferentes apoyos, pero a la vez aquí en la división, cualquier pregunta que sea de su subvención, esas preguntas tienen que ir a nosotros para poderlos ayudar. So tenemos, como les había comentado, yo soy la administradora del programa. También tenemos a Anthony y Ronnie que van a ayudar con ustedes con el acuerdo, y también van a escuchar mucho de Ángela y de Miriam porque ellos contestan muchas de las llamadas y los emails y la comunicación. Y también ofrecemos ayuda no nomás en español en la división, pero tenemos una línea de lenguaje también. Okay, next slide. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Angela and Miriam, who are going to talk to you about the grant manual. Voy a dejar que esta Ángela y Miriam hablen para que se les puedan hablar sobre el manual de subvención.
Thanks, Dana, and thank you, Miriam, for offering to interpret for me today. So my goal today is to show you what the grant manual has to offer you as a resource for information. It is a 34-page document, which can be intimidating to dive into, but the manual is purposefully long because the ELD wanted providers to have a tool that they could return to as often as needed for information. So as you have questions, I really want to encourage you to review the information in the manual as your first step. Miriam, are you unmuted?
Can you hear me?
I
Okay,
can
now.
hear you now.
Okay. Voy a traducirles. Mi objetivo hoy es mostrarles lo que el manual de subvenciones tiene para ofrecerles como un recurso de información. Es un documento de 34 páginas que puede ser intimidantemente para sumergirse y leer a fondo. El manual es deliberadamente largo porque ELD quiere que los proveedores tuvieran una herramienta a la cual pudieran usar tan a menudo como fuera necesario para obtener más información. Como tiene preguntas, quiero animarle a revisar el manual como su primer paso.
Thanks. Michael, can you return to that second slide? Next one. So on the left here, you'll see what does the manual include. This is a very basic outline of the information you can find in the manual. This particular graphic highlights the topics we currently get the most questions about.
¿Qué incluye el manual? Este es un esquema muy básico de información que usted puede encontrar. Este gráfico en particular destaca los temas sobre los que actualmente recibimos más preguntas. Revise el gráfico.
So you're going to see in the manual information about the budget, the grant terms and conditions, preschool program specifics like curriculum or staff qualifications. And then you're going to see information in the appendices. One to highlight is information about service delivery models during COVID-19.
En el menú usted va a encontrar información de presupuesto, términos y condiciones de subvención, programa de promesa preescolar que incluye información sobre el plan de estudio, calificaciones personal y cosas así como apéndice, información sobre los modelos de prestación de servicio durante el COVID-19.
So I'm going to ask Michael to click open the grant manual link for us that you see on the right. And that is going to take us to our website. So our website can be tricky to navigate, so I want to make sure everybody knows how to locate the grant manual. I put the link in the slides, but from the home page, you can go to the Families tab, which is highlighted right now. You drop down and you'll see Preschool Promise. From there, you'll find a list of resources in English and in Spanish.
Nuestro sitio de web puede ser difícil de navegar, así que quiero asegurarme de que sepa cómo localizarlo. Haga clic en la imagen del manual, que es un enlace. He dejado aquí el enlace. Desde la página de inicio puede ir al tabulador Familias bajo promesa preescolar y verá una lista de recursos ahí en inglés y español.
Yeah. And if you're like me, you might need a copy on paper that you can read. If you don't have access to a printer at home, you can call your local CCR&R, your Child Care Resource and Referral Center, and ask for assistance printing that document.
Si usted podría hacerlo mejor con la lectura de información en papel y no tiene acceso a una impresora, puede llamar al Servicio Local de Recursos y Referencia de Cuidado Infantil y pedir ayuda para imprimir el documento.
And now on to some updates.
Alrighty there. We're going to go ahead and address a couple of topics that have come to the ELD recently. One of them is in regards to insurance, and the other one's going to be waivers. That seems to be the topic lately. So we wanted to go ahead and take the time to go ahead and talk about those two very big topics for you. Dos temas que se han llegado aquí mucho a la división es el tema de aseguranza o seguros requeridos de promesa preescolar, al igual como los waivers o las exenciones del programa. So vamos a tomar un poquito de minutos para hablar sobre estos dos temas. Catherine, do you want to kick us off with insurance?
Sure. We have seen you guys ask a lot of questions about insurance, and we hear you. We know it's an issue. We are working with Department of Administrative Services and Department of Justice to figure out the best path forward.
So, sabemos que muchos de ustedes han expresado preocupaciones por los requerimientos de la aseguranza o seguro. Queremos dejarles saber que estamos pensando en ustedes y gracias por su paciencia. Este es un tema que tenemos que trabajar con el Departamento de Justicia y el Departamento de Administrativos también, de Servicios Administrativos. Go ahead.
Thank you for your patience. And the best thing that you can do for us right now is fill out that anonymous survey that was sent out earlier this week.
Okay. Una cosa que nos puede ayudar mucho es de que este lunes mandamos el link a un cuestionario donde usted puede darnos cuáles son los problemas que ustedes están teniendo sobre los seguros. Y también tenemos aquí el link donde ustedes pueden llenar el link tampoco. Go ahead.
Go ahead. That will allow us to diagnose the issue, to know what the depth of the problem, and therefore better know how to solve it.
Eso nos va a ayudar mucho a saber exactamente cuál es el problema con la aseguranza para poder diagnosticarlo y también poder tener una solución a este problema. Okay. Catherine, anything else about what can they do right now for insurance?
Just get what coverage you can and to the amounts that you can. So reach out, try to get insurance, try to acquire insurance to the amounts that you can, and fill out that survey so we can know the depth of the issue and we can try to solve it on the DOJ end.
Okay. Una cosa que pueden hacer por el momento es de tratar de la aseguranza que más que se pueda, que puedan agarrar con los requerimientos de promesa preescolar y llenar ese cuestionario. Eso es muy importante que tomen esos dos pasos en estos momentos. Okay. So we can go ahead and talk about waivers, Angela.
Primero en español.
Yep, okay, this time we're going Spanish first. So una cosa es de que con las exenciones, dos cosas que tienen que tomar en cuenta, que hay dos formas para los waivers. Una es si ustedes van a someter una exención para el modelo de servicio que ustedes van a proveer con los niños, ya sea en la casa o ya sea de híbrido 1 o 2 o un programa específico. Entonces, ha causado un poquito de confusión con las formas que tenemos, pero tenemos dos tenemos dos formas. Una es para el modelo de cómo van a prestar el servicio y luego la otra forma es para cualquier requerimiento de promesa preescolar. Por ejemplo, las horas, porque sé que estamos empezando un poquito tarde. So, algunas cosas que tienen que tomar en cuenta es de que si recuerden que hay dos formas que tienen que someter. Si usted va a ofrecer servicios en persona, no necesita someter una exención. Si algo cambia, ya sea con la pandemia o algo en su programa, ustedes pueden someter un waiver si necesitan cambiar el modelo. Pero si están empezando en persona, no tienen ustedes por qué llenar una forma. También recuerden que si ustedes están listos a ofrecer servicio, pero a lo mejor están esperando un poquitito de los hubs para que ellos terminen la registración, no necesita someter un waiver tampoco. Okay.
Okay, so a couple things to keep in mind with the waivers. There's two different waivers, one for service delivery models and one for any other preschool program requirement. So if you are providing in-person services, you do not need to fill out the service delivery waiver. If you are providing a hybrid model or a home-based distance learning model, you do need to fill out that waiver. If you need a waiver for a different requirement, so like a good example is the 900 hours or the October 31st start date, you'll need to fill out the other waiver. We did have a little bit of confusion that we understand that the grant manual has only the waiver to the service delivery, but we did send an update for the new waiver that you can fill out if you need to fill a request for a waived requirement for any of the other preschool promise requirements. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you are not able to start services by the 31st because the hub has not provided children for you to enroll, you do not need to submit a waiver to us. We're asking the hubs to provide that information to our agency. And let's see, if you need to switch how you're delivering services mid-year, if something happens related to COVID-19 or within your program, you are able to fill out that waiver at that time. So it's acceptable to start in person, and then if something happens, you need to change how you're delivering services, you can fill out the waiver at that time.
Thank you. Alrighty. And now we're going to go ahead and have Michael take it away with our bilingual YouTube channel. As you guys can see with this big implementation, we have a pretty big, wide variety of providers. We have in-home, school districts, centers, OPKs, and we know that time is can be very difficult, even to go ahead and have a meeting here with the state. So we're really, our goal is to go ahead and leverage technology. And then we also know that many of you are in different stages. Maybe one of you want to know a little bit more about a certain topic. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this channel. Como ustedes saben, en una implementación de esta magnitud es muy difícil, especialmente porque queremos que la información vaya a ustedes en una forma que la necesiten y eficiente. So hemos desarrollado este canal de YouTube para ayudarles. Okay, go ahead, Michael.
So we're very pleased to share that we've developed a series of short videos to support implementation of Preschool Promise in both English and Spanish.
Yes, in the budget template, in this short video, I actually walk you through a brief orientation of the 2020-21 program budget, startup and continuous quality improvement plan, including 3 key elements that you really should be aware and will certainly assist you in your process.
Thank you, Anthony. And Miriam, are you able to jump in?
We may have some technical issues, so I'll go ahead and jump in.
Okay, thanks, Dana.
So nos da mucho gusto de poder haber lanzado nuestro canal de YouTube, en donde estamos lanzando 4 videos rapiditos que ustedes puedan mirar en su propio tiempo cuando ustedes puedan. El primero va a ser un video del presupuesto que lo desarrolló nuestro amigo Anthony, y eso se va a basar mucho en qué es lo que necesitan saber y cómo poder hacer su budget, su presupuesto de promesa preescolar.
And Anne, will you tell us a little bit about the enrollment video?
Sure. In the video, you'll learn more about the Preschool Promise enrollment process that the hubs are responsible for coordinating, including recruitment, selecting children to enroll in the vacancies, and determining family eligibility. I'll give you more information about the steps that hubs must take with families in order to enroll children into the Preschool Promise program.
En el video de elegibilidad que nuestra amiga Ann nos ayudó a desarrollar, ustedes van a aprender sobre la inscripción, de cuáles son los pasos que nuestros centros de aprendizaje temprano tienen que tomar para poder inscribir a los niños en el programa y qué es lo que necesitan tener las familias y algunas de las prioridades. Okay.
And then there is also an overview of our guide that we've produced to implementing TS Gold, the assessment tool. And that short video tells a little bit about that guide that we'll be making available to you in the next few days.
Otro video que también estamos lanzando es uno de los del TS Gold. Nos han llegado muchas preguntas sobre esa herramienta. So, también hemos desarrollado un video para esa guía.
And Catherine, you want to tell us a little bit about making a claim?
Yes. So there's also a video on how to submit a claim in the EGEM system. We know that EGEMS is very old, and we will try to help you guys out as much as possible with that very cumbersome system.
Otro video que hemos desarrollado sería un tema de cómo someter un reclamo. Nos ha llegado mucho esa pregunta. Nuestra amiga Catherine ha desarrollado un video que los lleva paso por paso a cómo someter su reclamo. Sabemos que el sistema que estamos usando es muy antiguo y tiene un poquito de oportunidades. Esperamos que este video les ayude. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay. I made these cool marks on the thing, and then they're still there. Look at that. I wonder how I get rid of them. I'm learning. So what's next is about the PSP Quality Requirements Playbook. Andy?
Lo que vamos a hablar ahorita después sería de una guía que estamos dando sobre los requerimientos de calidad de promesa preescolar.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So we are in the final stages of developing what we're calling the Preschool Promise Quality Playbook. This is a helpful document that will be provided to you that covers the requirements in the grant manual, but also offers some additional information. This information will be provided to you with resources and examples of how those quality requirements can look in practice.
Una cosa que estamos usando en esta implementación es de que sabemos que ustedes van a necesitar ayuda de cómo implementar los requerimientos de calidad para promesa preescolar. So, estamos desarrollando un libro de tácticas de calidad de promesa preescolar. Este documento los va a ayudar a entender un poco más sobre cómo implementar esos requerimientos en su salón. También da ejemplos de prácticas, de requisitos en acción, de cómo se miran esos requerimientos de calidad en su salón. So, eso también van a ser utilizados por el especialista que va a estar en el CCR&R y el entrenador para que los ayude en esos requerimientos.
Yeah, so it can be used on your own, or it can be used with your Preschool Promise specialist or your coach, which will be housed in the CCR&Rs.
So, como les había dicho, este es un libro de tácticas que va a ser usado para el CCR&R cuando ellos den su asistencia técnica a ustedes también. Okay.
So just a little preview of what's coming next. Andy talked about the PSP Quality Requirements Playbook. We're also working on an ELD grantee profile just to get kind of an outline of everybody that's participating, and we'll be reaching out soon for some updated contacts. I know it's been a while since you filled out your application. We want to make sure that we have everybody's correct information and all of our contacts are solid. As far as communication goes, we are planning weekly emails. We have been sending at least once a week emails. If you're not getting those, please reach out to the PSP email. You have access to the grant manual. We went over that. The Bilingual YouTube channel has a few things on it, but there's more coming. And then the Preschool Promise SharePoint site, which I saw some people commenting on in the chat box, that will be launching by November 1st. So we did want to update it. We realized it had some outdated info on there. Want to make sure it is refreshed and ready for this 2020-2021 year. So that will be launching by November. If you've already requested access, we have your information. We'll make sure you get in. And then just a reminder that the Preschool Promise helpline, you can contact us at psp@state.or.us. And the grant line phone number is 503-856-2895. And also we are hoping to plan a next statewide meeting, and that is to be determined. So stay tuned for that date.
Otra cosa que ustedes van a mirar en estas semanas que vienen es que vamos a mandar como información para desarrollar un perfil de cada proveedor. Sabemos que en muchos casos la información que habían sometido en su aplicación ha cambiado. También, y eso nos va a ayudar a tener nosotros la información correcta aquí en el estado. Ya sea con la comunicación, otra cosa que van a mirar es de que estamos mandando correos electrónicos cada semana, y también tienen su manual de, como Ángela les había informado, está disponible en español, que se pueden referir. Y también tenemos el canal de YouTube que es bilingüe. Los videos no están largos porque es para que ustedes los miren cuando ustedes tengan tiempo. También vamos a lanzar nuestro sitio web para noviembre. Teníamos uno que necesitamos como agregar más información sobre eso. Y por favor, si necesitan ayuda, si nos pueden llamar a la línea de ayuda al 503-856-2895 o mandarnos un correo electrónico. También estamos planeando otra junta con el estado aquí nuevamente, por favor manténganse con nosotros para que podamos mandarle la información sobre esa junta. Okay, next slide.
There are no next slides, partner.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. So first of all, like I said, with this implementation, we really wanted to go ahead and use this as a starting point of like kind of take a little step back and really just inform all of us to go ahead and be on that same space of what the implementation looks like. And as you all can imagine, with this hive of implementation with 191 grantees across the state, communication is going to be really important. And we totally understand that after our RFA, because it was an RFA with the state, we were very limited on what we could share. And I know that a lot of you had a lot of questions that we were like, we can't answer that yet because we don't have a fully executed agreement. So our apologies, but we can thank you for your patience on that. And I hope you all understand that it's because we were going through this RFA process. Now that everybody's doing, your grants are becoming fully executed, you're an official Preschool Promise grantees, that communication is going to be increasing, and then because of our implementation, we're really leveraging technology. We know that having a meeting in the middle of the day is not going to be feasible for many of our grantees, or in the afternoon. So we're trying to go ahead and see like, how do we how do we meet you where you are and what your needs are. Many of you guys are small business owners, checking your emails at 8 p.m. or on the weekend. So really our team is devoted to just really looking on how do we provide you with those resources in a timely manner for you to be successful. The one thing to know, and I can't echo enough, that we want you to be successful with this grant. So with this is a grant where we're learning about different resources. We want to be able to connect you with the different resources for you to be successful at the same time. So please just kind of keep that in your mind. So como les habíamos dicho, en esta implementación así tan grande, es difícil porque sabemos que el tiempo no es nuestro mejor amigo. Si hacemos una junta en el medio del día, muchos de ustedes están trabajando con los niños y sabemos que muchos de ustedes son negociantes también, tienen su propio negocio chequeando correos electrónicos a las 8 de la noche. So, estamos tratando de mirar cómo apoyarlos. Una cosa que quiero que al terminar esta junta se lleven con ustedes es que queremos que sean exitosos con promesa preescolar. So, por favor, cualquier ayuda que necesiten, cualquier recurso que necesiten, es importante conectarse con nosotros. Sabemos que hubo un periodo donde no estaban escuchando tanto de nosotros o nos preguntaban algo y no podíamos contestar porque estábamos bajo esta aplicación con el estado de la subvención. Pero lo que esperamos es poder contestar a sus preguntas, poder proveer los recursos para que sean exitosos. So I really, I can thank you enough for everything that you're doing. Like I said, this meeting was really aimed at like, what are the resources that are coming? Who's doing what? When do you call for what? Really your best tool right now for your grant agreement will be, and we acknowledge that we have some technical difficulties at the beginning with our 2895 line, but that is up and running. So please kind of like help us now redirect a lot of your questions about your grant to that number. And we really, like I said, what we want you to walk away from is knowing that we want you to be successful with this implementation. So por favor, llámenos ese número del 2895. As I mentioned, we have those videos that are launched. The videos are not that long. They're really meant to go ahead and inform you right away of what you need to do and how are things working there. And then it gives you the flexibility for you to watch them on your own time. So esos videos no están tan largos. Ustedes los pueden mirar a su propio tiempo. So, yeah. Gwen, do you want to add anything before we close off? Oh, we can't hear you.
I have a few mute buttons. I apologize. Not really. This was wonderful. I want to thank everyone for submitting great questions in the chat box. I've been sort of kind of monitoring that to see what some of the themes are, and I think we'll be able to turn these questions and responses back around very quickly for you. And I think one of the only thing that I'd like to add is like I said at the beginning, it's been great to put some names to faces. And I think another thing, that's really special about today in the kickoff meeting is you get to see some of the other preschool promise providers across the state. And you get to see what a large group of providers are really working, to accomplish the same goals within their unique communities. So I'm hoping, one of the things I thought was, I can't wait for some of the networking to happen so that all of you can start to learn from each other as well.
Yeah, Gwen nos está diciendo que habían muchas preguntitas que salieron aquí en el chat y las vamos a poder contestar rápidamente a ustedes. Otra cosa que esperamos que ustedes se den cuenta es la magnitud del programa, pero otras proveedoras. Muchos de ustedes tienen su cámara y podemos mirar quiénes son. Y esperamos que como vaya pasando el tiempo podremos hacer más networking y más interacción con ustedes unas a otras para que se puedan apoyar. Alrighty then. Well, Thank you all for joining. What you're going to be expecting also after this meeting here soon is going to be the recording of this webinar. You're going to be receiving the slides, the resources, the link to the YouTube video. And please, you know, we're welcome for feedback. And like I said, the goal is for us to go ahead and launch as many videos for you, bilingual all the time, English and Spanish, for you to be able to go ahead and check them out on your own time. But in the meantime, please go ahead and reach us out to us. And thank you for joining our very first ever bilingual state preschool promise meeting here. Thank you for being a part of it. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Vamos a mandar un correo electrónico con todos los recursos, la grabación de esta junta y todavía más para que ustedes los puedan mirar cuando ustedes puedan. Muchísimas gracias por atender.
Thank you.